In the early morning, a Cambodian family is rowing their small fishing boat into Tonle Sap Lake, hoping to get a head start on the day. At 11 years old, Reet is already well accustomed to the family's daily schedule. Waking up this early is essential if they want to avoid the other boats and find the best fishing spot right at the heart of the lake. As the sun rises, the family cast their nets time after time with tireless patience, as only fishermen can. The lake serves as the largest water regulator for the Lancang-Mekong River basin, preventing potential floods and droughts, which could devastate those who depend on its life-giving waters. Reet has been fishing with his parents since the age of 5 and has already proven himself more than competent at the job. Looking at his windswept face, taut muscles and rough-skinned hands, he looks much older than his age. This is the village of Chung Pro Lai, where Reet lives. The houses here sit perched on submerged wooden stilts, like birds floating on the surface, scanning the depths for their next meal. Resources around the lake are limited, so Reet's family use a crude net to catch the smaller fish that swim just below the surface. Life is not lonely for the youngster. Reet has a sister and a brother, and the neighbors come over to play in the afternoon when they are free. Their home is simple, but not without its charm. Reet's mother used to live on land before marrying and coming to Chung Pro Lai. Now she finds contentment in raising her children and keeping her house in order. Naturally, this quaint village of floating boathouses attracts plenty of outsiders. However, its true character can only be seen from within. Recently, the government has built a classroom in the village where the children can receive a 9-year compulsory education. This comes as a huge relief to these families because the only other school is miles away inland and the commute is too costly and inconvenient for most. Their teacher comes from the neighbouring Kompong Klang village, about 20 minutes away by ferry. Since the ferry has no fixed departure time, the children often arrive before him. For these children, school is a happy escape from the monotony of their daily lives. A chance to socialize with kids their age and perhaps acquire enough knowledge to one day make it out of the village. all Reet's mother wants is for her children to have the chance at a promising future. While life on the lake is peaceful and without conflict, she misses living on land and the opportunities it affords. Leaving her youngest son with a neighbor, she sails out with Reet at dusk to cast the net one last time for the day. Even at his age, Reet knows his mother wants him to have a better life. With one hand firmly on the rudder, he is determined not to let her down. It's morning, and Yao is rowing his boat upstream towards the rapids at the river's center. He is on his way to Lip Hee Falls, the local fishing grounds. Lip Hee Falls, located between Laos and Cambodia, is the largest of its kind in the Lancang-Mekong river system. While not as relaxing as some fishing spots, locals here are used to fishing in these risky waters. Every day, fishermen lay their nets and traps, careful not to get caught in the rushing currents beneath them. Out here, you don't want to lose your balance. An experienced fisherman himself, Yao knows these waters like the back of his hand. Today, he decides to place a few extra cages, hoping to catch a big one. This is one of the widest sections of the Mekong River. In the dry season, the water level drops, temporarily revealing thousands of rocky isles along the river. The area is called the 4,000 Islands, and twice a year, migrating fish swim against the current to lay their eggs upstream. Not surprisingly, it's a very important time of year for these fishermen. "32-year-old Yao has been fishing in these waterfalls since he was a child. Fishing with nets and cages requires patience. The longer you wait, the bigger the catch. A couple of hours later, it's time to check the first cage. It's still just the start of the migration, so the fish aren't as big as he hoped. It's a disappointing catch. Down the falls, at one end of the other cages, Yao has some better luck. At noon, Yao packs up and heads in the direction of home. But he's not going there just yet. He lives on Don Con, an island several kilometers offshore. But first, he's got some business to take care of. Today, he's planning to wait by the riverbank and see if any of the other fishermen have some extra catch he can buy and then sell at the market.
ยาวประมาณที่เป็นบะครึ่งสิซ้ำนี่ประมาณซ้ำนี่ก็นักแล้วบะครึ่ง7-8 โลแล้วยาวก็สิประมาณที่กันเนี่ยใช่ประมาณนี้
The market in Ban Na Ka Sang is an important ferry and fishing port. Just 4 kilometers away from Don Con, it's about a 20-minute boat ride away. He didn't buy much, but he still has to sell everything by the end of the day. At Lip Hee Falls, families like his rely heavily on this extra income, no matter how little it may be. The money Yao makes from fishing is enough to support a family of 5. They have a lovely little home in the heart of the rainforest, and for them, life is just fine. But that doesn't mean that Yao doesn't have dreams of his children having a better life. The school is a long walk away, so whenever Yao isn't working, he gives his daughter a ride to school on the back of his motorcycle. Days like this are just as special to Yao as they are to his daughter. Today, Yao is using some of his extra income to surprise her with something special. It's a big expenditure for his family, but he knows she is worth it. Owning a bicycle is a luxury most of these kids don't have, but after seeing the smile on his daughter's face, Yao knows he made the right decision. The sun is casting its glory upon these neatly arrayed salt pans, their color shimmering and changing in the morning light. Having grown up here, these salt pans are like family to Jamtso, a resident of Jada village. His parents left them to him after he married and had children. Today, the fields are supporting the next generation of his family. It's harvest time, so Jamtso's mother and his wife are heading down to the fields to collect salt. The village, sitting directly between Tibet and Yunnan, is a little upstream from the Lancang River, which flows south across the Hongduan Mountains before taking a steep turn into a ravine. Springs rich in brine can be found on both sides of the river. The locals call them Tsakhalho, which means salt wells. Locals have taken advantage of this, building tiers upon tiers of alpine salt pans with mud and timber. Even in an already unique landscape, they provide one of the world's rarest and most beautiful sights. The village, perched on a small plateau above the Lancang River, has been home to these people for over 1,000 years. The women of the Jamtso family trudge their way through the zigzagging pathways, ducking under stalactites of salt overhead. These salt formations tell locals how far along the fields are in the crystallization process, so they know when it's time to harvest. The men build the salt pans and the women harvest the salt. All families here follow this distribution of labor just as they have through the generations. The scorching sun, along with warm gales from the plateaus upstream, accelerates the formation of salt grains, silently urging the people to keep moving. Since Jamtso's mother is too old for work, his wife is solely in charge of the harvest. Every single grain collected from the pans is a blessing for the family's livelihood and future. The men here also build their houses, which they will eventually pass down to their descendants. Spending their hard-earned money on such an important and deeply personal thing is something these salt farmers take enormous pride in. Since Tsakhalho is attracting more and more outsiders every year, Jamtso and his father plan to remodel the old house and turn it into a B&B with an adjoining museum. Methods for producing salt have changed drastically over the years. Today the people use a pump to collect brine, whereas before they'd have to put it in wooden buckets and haul it up the mountain on shoulder poles. Jamtso and his father are making a pair of buckets for carrying the salt, similar to the ones his grandmother once used. By carrying these traditional handmade buckets, Jamtso's wife is trying to experience the burden shouldered by women of the last generation. Jamtso is in no rush to change the salt farming methods and lifestyle that have been in his family for over a millennium. However, as the younger generations become more educated, the old ways are becoming more and more obsolete. Just this weekend, his daughter came back from the city and couldn't wait to get back. She's preparing for college and is in a hurry to decide which direction she wishes to take for her own future. Now he's troubled with the idea that his family tradition might be lost forever. The salt pans, which have been the lifeblood of the village for so long, are now at the mercy of the changing times. Will Jamtso's generation be the last whose livelihoods depend on these fields? As Jamtso winds his way through this familiar and nostalgic mountain trail, he's reminded that the salt produced here used to be sold in Yunnan, Sichuan, Qinghai, and Tibet. Even today, it still brings wealth to salt farmers like himself. The Lancang-Mekong area is the last large-scale area of aquatic human habitation and the last large waterfall shoal fishing ground in Southeast Asia. It's also home to the largest inland alpine salt field in China. This river, which originates in what is called the roof of the world, makes its way through the mountains, valleys, humid jungles and plains of Southeast Asia before joining the sea. Despite living a drifting life that is as unpredictable as the ever-changing times, these people still live rewarding lives and prove that no matter what your lot is, happiness is always in the eye of the beholder.